Hey guys, welcome back to The Life of a Doctor's Wife. Today's episode is one that I've wanted to do for a long time. I'm sitting down with one of my dear friends from our medical school journey, Tiana, who recently walked through something that so many medical families fear, but very few people openly talk about, the SOAP process. Match Week is often portrayed as one of the happiest and most exciting weeks in medicine. Social media is filled with celebrations, envelopes, and happy tears. But for some families, Match Week doesn't go according to plan. Behind the scenes, there can be uncertainty, heartbreak, difficult decisions, and an incredible amount of resilience. Today, we're talking about that side of Match Week. We will discuss navigating the uncertainty of applying to a highly competitive specialty, what it's like to go through SOAP, how to support your spouse through one of the most difficult weeks of their medical career, and how Tiana and her family navigate it all while raising 3 kids and pregnant. We'll also talk about the grief that spouses often carry quietly, the sacrifices that come with medicine, and how hope can still be found even when the path looks different than you imagined. There truly is no one better to have this conversation with than Tiana. She has been incredibly open about her family's journey, and I know her story is going to encourage so many of you who are either preparing for Match or trying to make sense of what came after. So, Tiana, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Can you share with everyone a little bit about yourself, what you do, and how you met your husband, and where you currently are?
Absolutely. So, like you said, my name is Tiana. I'm a registered nurse, wife to Malik, and a now mom of 4. I met Malik, actually, he was a nurse before he went to medical school, and I was working on it's called medical surgical floor, and that's where he had started his nursing job, and we worked together. He was just, that cute coworker, and we just kind of formed a bond. So that's where I met him, and here we are today. This is about 5 years later. We're in Idaho Falls, Idaho. Malik is an internal medicine resident, and I'm working as a nurse out here. And honestly, if you would have asked me like 5 years ago where I would have ended up, I would have laughed because this wasn't on my radar at all.
I know. I remember both of us coming into medical school together, kind of being like, where are we and how the heck did we get here?
We actually had, I think, a little bit more in common than everybody else, because when we went for the first side-by-side meetings, everyone else was like, my husband, my kids, and you and I, we were the girlfriend, the fiance. So we weren't married to it yet, but we had already signed up and were just as committed as everybody else.
Yeah, for sure. Now, can you take us back to Match Week? What were you expecting and what actually ended up happening for you guys?
So I think before I answer that, I think it would be helpful to explain why Match Week feels like such a big thing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have a couple of data points here. So in 2026, there were more than 53,000 registered applicants competing for 44,344 residency positions. That makes it the largest Match Week in history, apparently. So about 48,000 applicants actively participated, and although the vast majority matched, there were thousands that learned on that Monday morning that they had not matched at all through what's called the initial algorithm. So when you're outside of the medicine, those are just numbers, those are just statistics, but when you're inside of medicine, it can be daunting. So you open that email on that Monday morning and you're expecting it actually kind of tells you in an opposite way, you are not eligible to SOAP. So it sounds negative, but it's the most positive message that you could have received. So beforehand, before Match Week, you talk about, ooh, these are the ones that we ranked. Let's look at Zillow. Let's look at what the potential housing could be. Let's look at what potential jobs could be for me. Let's look at what recreational areas are. Because even though the students or the residents are going to be working so much, they are going to have days off occasionally. And you want to know what you're going to be able to do in your spare time. So we were expecting, at least in our top 5, that we had ranked to match to one of those cities. So we had kind of built a life around that idea already.
No, I totally agree with that. I remember kind of picking, okay, this is where we want to live, or this area to start looking at houses or whatever, if we match here or here or here or here or here. You really do build your life out for
That's absolutely true. And then especially when you have kids involved, you understand, like, even if they're not old enough yet, you're going to be going to such and such place for X amount of time. They're going to end up going to school, or they will need a daycare or a babysitter or join in sports. Like, what is available in the area? Because if it's too rural, maybe they don't have a lot of things available. But if it's a little bit more of an urban location, or even just outside of something that's bigger, it's like, oh, they're not in karate or gymnastics now, but maybe they could be.
Yeah.
So almost even instead of doing a realistic building of a life, you almost start fantasizing a little bit about what can be.
No, for sure. Yeah. Even like here where we are in Charleston, I'm like, oh, we could just hop down to the beach on a random Tuesday. Like, thinking about that is like crazy.
Absolutely. And I think also what's different for me, this was one of the biggest factors, and I won't lie, Malik and I even had some disagreements while building our rank list, is where we were before. We were in the southern Indiana area. I had family, like I was actively living with family while Malik was doing his 4th year away rotations, because we all know they can be gone for a full month at a time, depending how far away they can be. Maybe they can come home on weekends. And if it was just him and I, sure, I would have gone with him to these rotations, but I had kids and I was pregnant and I had a job. I needed a home base. So for a full year, I was living with my mom. You know, I paid her rent, but it was much cheaper than it would have been for us to have our own place. And I really just developed some relationships with old friends, new friends, and I wanted to stay close. So I think in my mind, my max distance place was like, oh, maybe 4 hours. That way, if I wanted to do a weekend trip home, there was that possibility. And then Malik, he has more of an adventurous mind, soul, spirit, whatever you want to call it. He wants to see something new and do something new. And he was really eyeballing, his top place was about 8 hours away. And at that time, like, that gave me a lot of anxiety. Like, I'm going to have a baby and I'm going to have the kids, 8-hour drive. That just seems so difficult. Like, how am I going to manage that? And we would have many conversations like, no, the one that's closer needs to be number 1, not number 2 or number 3. And looking back on that now, I would have taken that 8-hour drive location in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Yeah, it's easy now on the other side of it to say that. But again, I wanted to backtrack just for a second, because how you mentioned living with your mom and stuff, which honestly I feel like was more common than it is talked about, because I feel like everyone who I know who didn't stay near the medical school for 4th year all moved back home with their parents. Like, even with their kids, moved back in with their parents for the year to kind of have that stability and that help while their husband traveled for 4th year. So I think going back, would it have been nice for me personally to move back home? Yeah, it probably would have. But for us, we knew we wanted to go further south to pack up all of our belongings, move it one time to move it again. It was going to be more expensive. So honestly, we used our apartment as like home base and would come back and forth, and Mia and I would travel. But again, that's me with 1 child. I can't imagine 2, maybe 3 and pregnant. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I believe we've talked about this before with the medical school that our husbands went to. Their 3rd year away rotation sites were a little bit different than a lot of medical schools could be, because their rotation sites weren't truly based right there in Lynchburg, just because there weren't enough positions available for as many students as were at the school. So when we got our assignment, I guess you can call it, we were already placed in Southern Illinois, which was only an hour and a half away from our home. So we had already moved to that area anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, because you were also hoping to go back that way.
Absolutely.
In
that's
the end.
Just one of my things for me is family is so important. And I know that's not going to be everybody's number 1. Everybody's reason for why they rank where they rank is going to be different. And that was just one of my biggest qualifiers, I guess you could say.
Yeah. No, and David and I kind of talk about that too in the podcast, with talking about 1 month into residency and like going back, what he would change. And he says, like, get rid of the name of the residency program and really sit down and look at what's important for you. and finding family-friendly residency program, or finding one that has more activities or things to do, or nightlife if you're single and that's what you want. Like trying to find those things, because like at the end of the day, it's more than just like the name of the program.
Definitely.
So do you want to talk a little bit about Match Week and how SOAP came about?
On Monday morning, I heard exactly what time it is. It's like 10 or 11 Eastern Standard Time. So Malik and I, we were in our bedroom. We had the door shut. We were sitting on the bed. We had the laptop open in front of us, and we were just hitting refresh. Like, we weren't thinking, oh, we're not going to match. It was where, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had different emotions going at the time because, like I already told you, we had differing opinions on where, and we did end up submitting the rank list in a way that was kind of a compromise for what both of us wanted. Either way, though, it was going to be wherever we matched, one of us was going to lose out on something. So then it was an email that came through. We opened it, and it said, you are eligible to participate in SOAP. And I didn't realize that I had done this. Malik had told me afterwards. He said I gasped. Like I had a little, and I almost feel bad for that because it's a two side of the same coin, right? Like he has worked so hard for all these years in undergrad and medical school and wanting to go on one path and one journey. And then I have all of these feelings. Like I've got, like I said, my job, my kids, my family, but we're part of the same coin because we are a relationship. We are a singular family. So we're both going to be moving and going and doing. And both of us had that moment stop at the same time. And everything wasn't the way we were going to think it was going to be. So throughout everything, I never doubted him. I never doubted the process. I always thought, oh, this is going to be great. We don't need a plan B. There was never a what if. And then immediately in that moment, we were slapped with the reality of, hey, your life just got flipped upside down and now you have to figure it out.
Yeah. Especially because I feel like all throughout all throughout medical school, you always talk, like he always wanted radiology. Like that was always talked about since like year one of medical school. And I think that's like the heartbreak that hits, at least for your friends watching on, is like, how can someone go through all of medical school wanting something so bad to now almost feeling like you have to settle for something less than because you didn't get a spot?
That's one of, I think, from the outside looking in as a spouse and as a student, the worst things that is, I don't want to call it what's wrong with the medicine process, but it definitely can use some work, is because you're right. Malik wanted to do radiology from the beginning. He started a radiology club while there at the school, and he even went to some conferences that were very radiology specific. And it is a very competitive specialty. So, you know, the fact that he did not get into it, immediately we were like, wow, his chances of getting into radiology probably just went from like 80% to maybe 5%. And everything that he had prepared for and expected his life to look like after residency, it stopped, it changed. And, you know, everyone in the background is celebrating on social media, and that's zero offense to anybody who got what they wanted, because absolutely you should celebrate. But I'm seeing, oh my gosh, we matched, cool, yay. And I was getting text messages, you know, from you and a couple other friends, which absolutely do that. Reach out to your friends. And I didn't know how to respond because, oh my gosh, we didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember there was silence from like a couple of you. And then as like one person would find out like, oh, they matched, I'd be like, okay, sigh of relief. Like, I'm glad you had your moment and things, but like you do, like once you start thinking about other people, you start to worry. And at the same time, then you almost feel like you don't want to celebrate yours because you're like, I know exactly what they're going through. Because I remember the moment we got the text from you, I was like, can I send you alcohol? Can I send you something at this point? And you were like, I'm pregnant. And I was like, oh my word, you are. I'm like, just kidding.
Absolutely, which I would have taken a bottle of anything at that time because, oh my gosh, what do I do? But to be fair, you guys did send a gift card. What was it for DoorDash or something? Which,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you, because we needed to eat.
Yes. So I would say that too. If you know anyone going through the soap process, send them a gift card, send them DoorDash, something, even if they're not in the area, because I think that's the last thing on your mind, especially when you have kids to be fed. Like, let them order a pizza or something and be like, fend for yourself. Like, or I think the other thing I said was, if you are nearby someone that's soaping, offer to pick up their kids, take their kids away from the house, like let them just have their moment and scramble. Let's talk a little bit about like from the moment of finding out through the week, like how does that process work? Because honestly, I'm not knowledgeable in it.
Okay, so I think to talk about that, let's go into the background of soap a little bit. So we always talk about soap like it's what, a nice little bubbly bath, something like, oh, it sounds fun, right? No. SOAP stands for Supplemental Offer and Acceptance Program. And when I had looked it up before and people would ask me about it, I always just kind of said, think of it like speed dating, right? So it's you as an applicant and a program where the applicant went unmatched and a program has a vacancy. And programs get money from the government for every resident that they have because they're doing an educational program, right? So they want to fill their program up with these unmatched applicants. So they're going to make themselves look good. They're going to take on people, and they need to do it in a very quick hurry. So for Soap Week on Monday, those people who don't find out that they match, they get to submit up to 45 applications that day. So you have to find out right away, okay, across the country, there are 45 places that have openings. Which ones do I want to go to or need to go to or would be okay with going to? And you have to submit those by Tuesday morning, because on Tuesday and Wednesday of that week, these places are going to cold call you. Like, you don't know who's going to call you or when. You just have to be available. And they're going to say, hey, I'm such and such program from such and such location. Let's talk. And it's going to be out of the places that you submitted the applications to. So before, when you make a rank list, you have so much time to look up these programs and what the cost of living is and what the lifestyle is in these areas. You have Monday to say, okay, there's 45 places. What metrics are we going to use to decide which 45 places, right? So you want to look at, our husbands went to DO school, and even today in the year of the Lord, 2026, there is going to be a discrepancy on what programs place a value on between ND and DO. So there are websites that you can look at and say, okay, last year, how many DOs did they accept versus NDs? And they can give you a percentage. Like if they're 90% 90% ND heavy, we're probably wasting an application there, right?
Yeah.
And you can also look at if places are very home specific. So we actually did that before when making rank. So we would look at a location of who their current year one residents are. And if they are all basically from the undergrad program or the medical school program from that area, it's like, oh, they like homegrown. So we're probably going to waste an application there as well.
Yeah. I remember David saying the same things, like as we were going through his original applications, kind of that same thing of like, how many MDs to DOs did they take and sort of thing. Lucky for us, my husband wanted emergency medicine, which is not as competitive. And emergency medicine is more pretty even across the board, but there are some programs that are very MD heavy. So it definitely is important to look at.
Absolutely. And then you also want to just look at numbers like how many spots are available through that program. So you're looking and it's like, oh, there's only 3 spots available here, where this program actually has like originally 26 spots and they still have 11 spots open. You just have to look at, do I have a chance here? Then secondary to that, we know Malik wanted to do radiology. There were still, I think, about 15 give or take, radiology spots available across the country. We had to decide, okay, do we want to use 15 of our applications to hit every radiology program still available, knowing that it would still be, it's just as competitive in SOAP, if not more, as well as, okay, if we want to send an application to another specialty, what is that specialty, right? You need to decide in that moment, what would I be comfortable doing? Do I want to do emergency medicine where there still are several vacancies available? Do I want to do internal medicine? Can you imagine, like, in a brief moment's notice, oh, what other specialty would I be okay doing?
Mm-hmm.
And then, so we decided that Malik wanted to do internal medicine. We had to get a letter of recommendation from somebody that day. And I don't know if you remember, but sometimes getting letters of recommendations, you're reminding that physician, like, hey, I need that for my application. It can take a minute sometimes. So we did end up getting one that day. We did submit 15 applications, give or take, to radiology. And then the rest we sent to internal medicine programs. And I had sent you and another friend a picture at the end of our day. I had papers lined up in front of us with notes written, highlights made when we finally decided which 45 programs. And it was like 1 a.m. after finding out, what was it, like 10 a.m. or so, the SOAP that we were soaping that week. And it was just, I was exhausted. And I wasn't even the med student. I'm the spouse, right? I felt like almost like an assistant or a secretary, but I mean, I took that on. I want to help my husband because it's my life that's changing too, right? So
yeah. And here I am, like, just waiting for a text message, like, everything okay? And you're like, my world is crashing down over here. I'm not responding to you right now.
I personally, I did want to message back right away because I'm very much one of those people who's like, I'm sad and I want to share and vent about it. But Malik, he's one of those people like, I don't want to complain to somebody else. I don't want to make them feel bad. So we are two different personalities when it comes to that. And I was kind of trying to respect him in that moment. But at the same time, I'm like, his world just kind of shifted and so did mine. But I can't complain to him because I didn't want him to make me feel bad because there's got to be some level of a personal failure, right?
Oh, absolutely. You
don't want to put any weight on that.
Absolutely. I think any person that goes through SOAP has to feel like, what did I do wrong? Like, why me kind of outlook, where it can be so difficult to remember that, like, you're so much more than an algorithm. Like,
right. Like, it's not your fault at all. While, sure, you could have ranked program A as number 2 instead of number 1, or maybe answered an interview question slightly differently. There's so much that goes into making a rank list, doing signals. I don't know if you've ever even talked about signals.
Yeah.
There's just so much that goes into it that you could have been the perfect applicant to a program. You just maybe didn't signal them and you could have matched. And it's not your fault. It just really comes down to a computer algorithm.
Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't just come down to you and your application. It matters what the other person that you're almost competing with, per se, or on their rank list from the hospital standpoint, that what order did they rank it? Like, it's more than just yours in the hospitals.
And they also do look at geographic location. So let's say Malik might have been a better applicant than somebody else. And he was applying to maybe, let's say, a program in Alabama. If there was somebody who had the exact same application as him, but maybe they were also from Alabama, programs look at that and they're like, hey, we want to train somebody who might want to stay here. So we're going to go with that applicant. And even if Malik had every intention in the world of staying in Alabama because he wanted to live there, the program doesn't know that. They're going to go with somebody that they're going to train and then employ.
Yeah. Wow.
So I guess all of this to say to future applicants, if you don't match, there's a very good chance it is not your fault and it has nothing to do with you not being good enough at all.
Yeah. What would you say to the spouse?
You know, if you find out that you're going to have to SOAP, take your moment, but also be supportive of your husband. because in that moment, like we talked about, they're probably going to feel like a failure. And whether or not you're going to get to be by your family and how your family or how your lifestyle is going to change, your spouse needs you in that moment. And I think that is something I probably could have done better. I can blame pregnancy hormones and everything, but I probably initially wasn't as supportive as I could have been, both that day and later that week, because, selfishly, I was, oh my gosh, my world, my life, blah, blah, blah. And I was crying like a little baby. And I know he felt that.
I want to take a quick break and let you guys know the best way to make some extra free cash. If you're anything like our family, you're constantly filling up the gas tank, grabbing groceries, or picking up dinner on a busy night. And with prices seeming to go up every week, I'm always looking for simple ways to save money without changing my routine. That's why I've been using the Upside app. Upside gives you cash back on everyday purchases like gas, groceries, and dining at participating locations near you. All you have to do is open the app, claim an offer, shop like you normally would, and earn cash back. You can even stack those savings on top of your existing credit card rewards and loyalty programs. As a busy wife, mom, and soon-to-be residency family, I love anything that helps stretch our budget a little further. Those small savings really do add up over time. Plus, cashing out is easy. You can transfer your earnings to your bank account, PayPal, or choose from a variety of gift cards like Amazon or Starbucks. If you'd like to try it for yourself, download the free Upside app and use my code Morgan45393. That's MORGAN 45393 when you sign up. New users can earn a referral bonus on their first qualifying purchase. Again, that's the free Upside app and use the code Morgan45393. Start earning cash back on purchases you're already making. Now let's get back to the episode. As the week went on and interviews started happening, how specifically were you able to support Malik as you were struggling to, or even supporting the kids? And how do you even tell the kids? Because your sons are older.
So regardless of how old the kiddos were, it's even hard for full-grown adults to understand what soap means. I remember trying to explain it to my mom several times and even a couple of my best friends, and it still never made any sense to them. So for Malik, we sent him to the local library because they had those soundproof type rooms where you could do phone calls or work from home for the day. So we had kids at home. If you were going to get a phone call with an interview, you didn't want screaming, crying, whatever going on in the background. So we actually sent him away. And while waiting for a phone call, he just looked at interview questions, because I think that's the best thing you can do at that point is, if I am asked this question, how best am I going to answer it? Because, you just have to make yourself sound like the best applicant at that point. Similar to, like I said, speed dating, like, oh, let me tell you this about me and why I would be a good partner. It's how I would be a good applicant. And in the background, I'm at home. Yeah. Hey, do you need any snacks? Hey, do you need something to eat? And I was okay with being that for him because he was carrying a lot at that point.
That is such a smart idea. Like, I feel like I would have tried to pack up and take Mia away and leave him home, where honestly, I think it would have been easier to send him away so Mia can still nap and do her things at home and kind of have that routine. But finding a place like a library with a study room or something is genius.
Definitely. And it's free.
Do you even feel that this experience affected your marriage, or how did you help to maintain your marriage without that aspect of guilt maybe?
I am not a perfect human. So even to this day, it is affecting our marriage, because I'm so proud of all of the work that he did in medical school. But in the same breath, in the background, I think, well, could you have done this better? Could you have answered this interview question better? Could you have maybe done one of your step exams better? Maybe not step 1 since it's pass fail, but step 2. What if you answered just a couple more questions right and got a couple of points higher on your score? And I feel a lot of internal guilt for that, because what if that small thing he could have done better could have changed everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as a human, I'm still working on that, because I don't want to have any feelings of this negativity towards my husband. I love him and I'm proud of everything that he's done. So, as well as I know I feel negative and sad about where we did end up ending up, because like I said, we ended up in Idaho Falls, and that is a full 24-hour drive away from where we live and where our families are. And I'm postpartum. Let's add that to the mix. I'm sad some days and I feel lost because I don't know anybody out here. It's a different environment and a different culture. And there are days where I look at him and he's happy. He's having fun. He's enjoying his program. And I think, how dare you like it out here? I'm struggling, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'm working on that. I'm not going to paint it with all these rainbows and flowers of, oh, we worked through it together, we're strong ever, because I think that's a lie. And people need to know that if they do feel like this, it's normal.
Yeah.
You're not a bad person for thinking like this.
Yeah. No, and I love you for your honesty, because like I think back to us as people who were so lucky to get our number one choice. The stress and things, it does put weight on your marriage. Moving puts weight on your marriage. Like whether you're going to the place that you want to be or however it turns out, yes, there's different levels of weight on your marriage, but it still can be stressful. For us, we were moving further from family. Some family didn't necessarily agree with that. I'm pretty sure all of them probably wanted us to move back home, but for us, it was the decision that we wanted to make, and we knew we would still see our families and things like that. But again, that's hard.
It is. Even like you said, even getting exactly what you asked for or applied for or wanted, it's stressful. Moving is expensive. You're packing up your life. You know, you've talked about packing up Mia's room and just seeing how that was one of the number one things you wanted to do when you moved was put her room together. And I knew coming out here, no matter what we did, life was not going to look for the same for our kids / myself. And it was just a hard thing to think about and come to terms with.
Yeah. When it comes to like the end of match week, at what point did you know where you were going, and like how did you sit with that?
So when you have to soap, it actually does look a little bit different than it does for the people who did match. So on Monday morning, people who did match, you get an email or whatever saying, hey, you matched. You get to find out on Friday where. So you guys do get to sit that week with the celebratory knowledge of, okay, let's breathe. We matched somewhere. While also having that little inkling in the background of stress of saying, okay, but where? Where when you don't soap, we're so busy that week of, okay, where could we go? Where would we be okay with going? Let's send these 45 applications out. Okay, now let's have 2 full days of interview. And then it's different for us because on Thursday, it's a whole process Thursday morning that looks completely different. So I think I'll get into that now as well. So Thursday morning, you don't really get to make a rank list at all. You sent in your 45 applications and you did your interviews. On Thursday morning, a program opens up and you get offers. You can get, and it comes in waves. So let's say the first place that gave you an offer of, hey, we liked you. We want to offer you a position you didn't maybe vibe with or you didn't want to go to. You can say no to that program, and then you have to wait an hour, I think it is, for the next wave to come around. They still have a spot available and you were maybe next on their list, then they'll offer to you. and you're in wave 2 and you're like, oh yes, I wanted that one, then you can take it. With us, we had the one offer on wave 1, and I think Malik really did actually like this program and where it was, that he was pretty excited for it. I think the only negative thought he had towards it was looking at me because of how far away it was. And I did end up giving my blessing. I was like, we can't risk wave 2 and 3 of not having an offer, because that's what it is. It's a gamble. If this place didn't like us, did anywhere else? And do they have a spot still available? So wave 1, we accepted. So in that moment, you know where you're going. While the rest of the medical school seniors are still waiting on Friday for where. We knew in that moment where.
Wow. I kind of understand that, but at the same time, I feel like you're kind of robbed of that match day experience a little bit.
A little bit. Like, our medical school, you got the same box. You know how they sent out the box that had some of the emblem on it, and it had the card that said, I matched here in this. Like, ours is still sitting in a box somewhere not filled out.
Oh.
We didn't do that. We didn't feel like we either deserved it or were excited for it. Like, you see on TikTok of, oh my gosh, look at this. Here's my whatever. And we didn't have any of that.
I can't imagine, because I feel like we, as like the wives and spouses, at least at our school, I remember since like first year always talking about match day, like countdown and being so excited and things. And then I feel like it comes and it's almost like anticlimactic. You're like, what? Okay, like it's here. And I just hate the fact that you were almost like robbed from that excitement and feeling.
Absolutely. And you said countdown. I legitimately actually had a countdown towards the end of my first year. Or, I started a countdown of how many days until match day, 3 years later. And I even remember sending you in a group chat, hey guys, it's 999 days until match day for us, down to the triple digits instead of quadruple digits. Like, I was excited for it and I was counting it down from the beginning, basically. And then it happened and it was like, oh,
yeah,
damn,
Oh. Gosh. So with that decision on Thursday and then moving forward, now knowing where you were ending up, recently your family made the incredibly difficult decision to move while your older children stayed behind. Can you share how you came to that decision in case anyone else is going through that or like trying to navigate what to do?
So I think our family is just a little bit different in that we do have a mixed family. Malik is not my first husband. I had an unsuccessful first marriage that did result in 2 wonderful boys. My every intention was wherever we end up, we're taking them with us. Like, there was never a thought in my mind or my heart that they were going to be somewhere else from where I was going to be. So even when we found out it was going to be here, my older son loves soccer. I was looking up soccer programs. My second child, he's on the spectrum and, he's got some pretty significant behaviors and delays. I was looking up therapists. I was looking up ABA therapy. I had every intention of bringing them with us. And then, mind you, I was still towards the end of my pregnancy. He was 6 at the time. My 6-year-old started having, even before match day, so it's very unrelated to finding out that he was moving. He was having very increased behaviors. He was becoming very aggressive. He ended up getting expelled from school because, he had gone after somebody with a pair of scissors, which I was going to have a baby at home. And he had even started, pushing our almost 2-year-old or hitting her. And I had to think about, he's going to be at home with my baby. And if I'm doing something with our older child, Sylvie, I'm going to start giving names to kind of keep this from getting mixed up. Our almost 2-year-old Sylvie, if I was changing her diaper and Daxton was alone with our infant, could I sit with that if something happened? Because I'm going to be at home alone while Malik is doing his 80-hour work weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And he had therapists there in Indiana that he was seeing. And I had to have a conversation with my ex, like, I think you need to take Daxton for a little while, because when he would have his weeks with his dad, I would get reports back like, oh, he was good. He acted out a little bit, but he listens to me. He follows the discipline that I lay out for him. Where when I would lay discipline out for Daxton, he would honestly try and kick my butt. Like, there were times my 12-year-old would have to stand in between me and him to keep him from hitting me, because he was having aggressive moments that he couldn't control.
Yeah.
He has autism, and that brain just works so differently. And even with me being in the medical field and at the time working in psych, I could not understand. I was about as prepared as could be for it. And even still, that was hard for me.
Yeah.
So first, there was the decision that Daxton wasn't going to come with us. He needed some stability, because that's really important for kiddos like that. So he was going to stay with dad, and he was going to stay near family. And then the next was my older son, Ryder. He came to me and he said, I actually have to applaud how mature and adult he was about this. He said, I have family out here. I have sports out here. I'm actually not only in soccer, but I got an invitation to join marching band, which is big for him because he was only going to be going into 7th grade. Like, I was so proud of him. And he said, I don't want to move that far for something that's going to be temporary. Because at most, with residency, it's a 3-year program for internal medicine. Because likely if you do a fellowship, you're still going somewhere else. And he made the decision that he didn't want to come out here. So I found out like mere weeks before coming out here, oh, I'm going to be without half of my heart.
Yeah.
And I'm still coming to terms with that.
Yeah. I can't imagine going through that, but at the end of the day, you're doing what's best for your kids. And I think that's the most you can ask for. Like, you're doing what's right for Dax and you're doing what's right for Ryder.
Right. And I did make a friend out here who basically told me the same thing. So even if I had maybe forced them to come with me, there maybe would have been resentment.
Yeah.
And it is stronger for my relationship with my children to do it the way that we did it, no matter how hard it feels and how heavy it feels.
Yeah. And I know you go back and you visit them, and the same thing, almost like what happened in medical school. But I think at the end of the day, remembering that it's so temporary, it's not like you're moving out there with no end return date and like you're never going to check in or call them or care about what they're doing, because that's not you. That's not you as a mom and at all.
Not at all. And it's going to be more difficult now because I do have our baby Izzy. We had her on May 2nd, so right before coming out here, actually. I had Ryder come out here just about 2 weeks ago because I had some Southwest points burning a hole in my pocket. And rather than packing up 2 littles and going out to back home, I had him come out here, and he flew by himself for the first time. And we went to Yellowstone, and we went to this animal safari where there were a bunch of bears, and I just had a good time out here. And I have to realize, like, I can still see my babies. I can still see my kiddos. Is it going to be harder? Is it going to be more expensive? Sure. But it is what's important.
Yeah. And I'm sure Ryder had the time of his life. Like, I saw pictures that you posted, and he seemed like he got stuck in an airport and someone came and like sat with him. Like, he seemed like he was like living his best life. I was like, you go, buddy.
He's always had a little traveler's heart. So like before medical school, I did some travel nursing that Malik and I did get together, because like I said, Malik was a nurse before, and Ryder, being 6 or 7 years old, oh, can I come out to South Dakota? I'm like, buddy, you've got school. But he's always wanted to travel and do things. So I guess this is a way for him to have that opportunity.
Yeah. What has surprised you most about how your children have handled it?
So it's actually surprised me. My middle kiddo, Daxton, I'll video call him sometimes, and he's like, oh, hey, Mom. He'll chat for a minute, and he'll say hi to Sylvie, and then he'll say, okay, bye. It's like it hasn't affected him at all, which I don't know if I feel great about that or if I hurt. Like, hey, don't you miss me? But at the same time, I don't want him to carry that. So I love that for him. Sylvie, I think, has surprised me the most because she had a really close relationship with our family back home, whether it was Malik's family or my parents. Like, my dad, that was her best friend. But she acts like nothing has changed in her little life. She's just resilient and lives every day to her little fullest. And I love that for her. So I love that this isn't really affecting her in a negative way.
Yeah. No, that's good. At what point, maybe after the move, did like hope begin to return?
So I think I'm still looking for hope every day. So the moment that we matched, not matched, rather, I guess, the moment that we accepted Idaho Falls, I went to my bedroom with the light off and I cried. I was feeling the lowest of the low that week, even before not matching, because now that we had found out where, it was how far. Because thinking about it in the back of my mind, I was like, well, if we don't match at all for an entire year, because that is something that is part of the process. If you don't have a job offer that week, you have to wait an entire year. You can't just, in a couple months, I'll send in another application. It doesn't work like that. Malik is a nurse. He could have worked. I could have worked. He could have maybe done some research. He could have strengthened his application and try again in a year, but we would have been with family. And in my heart, it would have been sad, and I would have felt bad for Malik, because no matter what, that's going to feel like failure. I would have sat with that in an okay place.
Yeah.
At the end of that week, we found out where we were going, and my heart dropped. And I looked at what jobs were available out there, and there weren't very many. I looked at the programs that were out there for Malik, and I saw that he ended up joining an internal medicine residency. They didn't have a lot going on social media. I felt like there was nothing that I could look up. I was looking at Reddit posts even, and, they've got a post about everything there. There were none. I was going in blind. And then I joined the town Facebook page, and even that, there were people that would make posts about transplants, people coming from out of states, like, welcome to Idaho, now go home. Like, I just felt like, oh, these people are very closed off to people. I'm not going to be accepted. So it took a while for any sort of measure of hope to, feel palpable almost, or feel present. So we came out here, and Malik and I talked. And here's the thing is, Malik has a dream of radiology. He's not going to let that dream go. So like I said, with people who don't match, you can reapply again in a year. Even if you did match, if you match to a program that is not for you, or to a specialty that was not in your initial plan, you can apply again. And that is something I actually did not know. So it's actually getting ready to open up right now at this time of year, where you start submitting all of your applications. Malik is going to apply to radiology programs with a year of residency already under his belt, maybe making his application a little bit stronger, hopefully. And we potentially could be moving again and going through this match process again. So that gave me a little bit of hope, is, hey, maybe we can get back closer to home. And even if not closer to home for me, for Malik getting into his preferred specialty, that is important to me too, for my husband.
Yeah.
So also, I recently started a new job out here. So I'm now a burn ICU nurse at the local hospital out here where Malik actually works. That is a new specialty for me. So I get to go into work and I get to learn new things and do things that I've never done before as a nurse. That's giving me fulfillment. And that personal fulfillment is even giving me hope. As well as I've met a couple people at this job who I just vibe with. They're not the people who are like, welcome, now go home. Oh, you're cool. I like you. I can see us being friends. So every day there's hope that blossoms, right? Like it's not going to come to you all at once. It's not going to come to you before you make your way out there. You just have to be open to opportunities that will give that.
If you could go back and hug the version of yourself on match week or maybe on Monday, what would you tell yourself?
That this does not equal failure, that this is not the end of the world. It still feels like that someday because, like I said, I'm human, but we're okay. We're thriving. Malik's learning. He comes home from his workday and he's like, I learned this and I did this and this is actually fun and I feel like I'm learning, and I love that for him. He's actually having some excitement about his work days, minus being tired and it being 6 days a week, of course. But I love what he's getting to do every day because he genuinely seems excited about it.
Yeah.
So I need to tell myself back then, it's going to suck, but it's also going to be okay.
Yeah, and it's temporary. And like, it may not be in 3 years from now. It could be in the next 9 months. You could know that you're going somewhere better, you know?
And maybe not even better, but just different.
Yeah.
So do this again in a year, talking about where we're at now.
Yeah. But that's so good to know. And I really hope he can get the specialty that he's always dreamed of, because I think that's huge. Do you know if internal medicine counts as a year towards radiology or not?
So we've looked into this, and the best answer that we have found is sometimes.
Oh,
So
okay.
Some programs, it sounds like actually most programs counts it. So the thing with radiology, I think there are 4 specialties that it says that you need what is basically a transition year before you can actually start in that specialty. I'm trying to remember what they were. I think it's anesthesiology, dermatology, general surgery, and radiology. So let's say, just for sake of keeping it easy, that these specialties are 5-year residencies. Your last 4 years, you're going to be focusing on that specialty, but your first year is like a general medicine, whatever. And that's basically what internal medicine is. So most programs, since he's already doing his general medicine residency, when he goes next year, he could either A, restart all the way at the beginning, or B, if that program maybe had somebody have something happen in their life and they dropped out, or they transitioned or switched to a different program, they may have an opening for a year 2 spot that he gets to go right into radiology.
Got it. Is there anything else you want to add before I wrap it up?
Absolutely. So I was thinking about, like, what is my quote of right now? And I think it's that you can be thankful for the blessing that you have of today while still praying for a different tomorrow. Like, 2 things can be true at the same time. And I think that's what people have to carry with them if they do not match.
I love that. Yeah. And I think even if you do match into a specialty that you want, but maybe not the location you want, or you get your number 1 choice and then you realize like it's hard to make friends in new places and do things and find your people. Like, I think that's so important to just always remember.
And with medicine, it's going to be difficult, but there are other options. You may lose a couple years of attending pay, which, let's be honest, it's going to be a lot. But there are other options and you have different routes. You just have to explore them and look into them and maybe even have the bravery to go through with them.
Yeah, because I guess at the end of the day, your mental health and your well-being is more valuable than a couple extra $100,000. Like, as much as it sounds in the moment, you'll make it up in the end. It's okay.
It's okay. Not a failure. I want to hammer that one in. You are not a failure. It is a part of the process.
Yeah, I couldn't say it any better. I think that's a wrap on today's episode. Whether you have or had to soap, I think the biggest lesson in today's conversation is that there is no right path in medicine. We spend so much time focusing on match day, the specialty, or the name of the program that it's easy to forget there are real people and real families behind every decision. Sometimes the journey doesn't unfold the way you've planned, and that doesn't mean you've failed. It simply means your story is taking a different route. To everyone listening, whether you're preparing for match week, supporting a loved one through residency, or simply trying to navigate the unpredictable journey that comes with medicine, I hope today's conversation encouraged you. Your worth is not defined by a match result, a residency program, or a title. Medicine is just one part of your story, and your family, your relationships, and your resilience matter just as much. And Tiana, thank you again for trusting me and all of our listeners with such a personal chapter of your life.
Thank you so much for having me.
You have been so honest and vulnerable with us today, sharing your experience with the soap process, the uncertainty of match week, the emotional weight of supporting your husband, and the sacrifices your family has made isn't easy. I know there are so many spouses, students, and families listening who will feel a little less alone because you were willing to tell your story. And to everyone listening, thank you so much for spending part of your day with us. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to share it with another medical spouse, student, or friend who may need to hear this reminder that you're not alone. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast, leave a review if you've enjoyed today's conversation, and follow along on Instagram at Life of a DR Wife for more conversations about medicine, marriage, motherhood, and everything in between. Until next time, take a breath, pour yourself an iced coffee, and be kind to yourself. I'll see you in the next one.